Because these are things that are happening in the home or under someone's roof. And a lot of times women are hiding that they're being abused. And so there's certain things that you can look at to see if your family member is being abused, or if, when you're dating someone, if that person has the potential. I'm here with Shanda Roberts and Shanika Ampah. Thank you, ladies, for joining me. You said this is the creek. Okay. And so Shanda, you started with an older relationship at what age?
14. I was 14 going on 15 when I met him.
And how much older than you was he?
He was actually 29.
So you were 14 and he was 29. He was 15 years older.
Yes, at the time, and because he did not look his age, I did not know how old he was. I knew he wasn't my age. I knew he was older. However, I didn't know how much older until a couple of years later. But he did lie to me and tell me he was, I think, around 19, 20, and he didn't look 29 years old. And at that time, I didn't know what 29-year-old looked like. Right. So,
what did your mom or your dad say about you being 14, dating a 19-year-old or 20-year-old?
Well, my dad was never in my life. He's in Bahamas, where he is now. And my mom moved us here from Bahamas. Apparently, she was in an abusive relationship as well, but I didn't find that out till later on. So she moved me and my brothers here when I was 4. But when my mom did not find out, for a while I hid it. And by the time she realized that my mom worked nights. She worked nights, she went to school during the day, she worked during the day. So when I would see my mom, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, going to school, doing homework. So when she would see me, it's in between her getting home to go to sleep. So there was a long time she knew that I had friends. And most of the time she thought I was going to friends' house, spending the night. So I was dishonest in the beginning. So it was maybe a couple of years later before she even realized it was an actual boyfriend in the picture.
So for a couple of years you were having a relationship with an older man for like 2 years before your mom knew?
Maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, yes.
Gotcha. People really just not caring about black women. That's the other thing that we don't talk about. Why is it that when it's a certain population of women who are being abused and violated, people speak up for them? But when it's someone who looks like me or looks like you or looks like you, no one comes to defend us, no one says anything.
I've been doing it for like 17 years. Like I said, 15 years with a pimp. Now I'm by myself because he was on the news for human trafficking, and I don't have nobody, I have no family, nothing here. Yeah. And I found this house down there. They had a room for $150 a week, and I paid for an assistant fee on the side for $150 a week. But I think her story's beautiful, and I'm glad that you're out of it and that you're doing something about it. It's amazing. God bless you.
This is human trafficking. They just think, like I thought, human trafficking meant third world countries. I mean, you taking one person from one country and taking them to the next. You don't realize that human trafficking is right here in our neighborhoods. Right here, when I go to work, when I was going to work every morning and seeing the women come out and stand up here, that's human trafficking. People don't get that. I was living with my mom. We had gotten into a bad argument, and at the time I felt I needed to have him. And he would play mind games and threaten to leave me and threaten to leave me alone and not bother me, and then I would feel like it's my fault. So I would cry and, okay, what did I do wrong? Or why are you leaving me? Please don't, please don't. And I would do some of the, when I think back, and it's kind of almost embarrassing to say, I would do some of the craziest things, like get on foot and walk and look for him, because it was like a drug. Like I needed him to want me. I needed him to not want to be with me anymore. And if I did something wrong, I wanted to fix it. And there was this one time I couldn't find him. I walked and walked. When I tell you, in South Miami Heights, or Miami Heights, I walked from Miami Heights to Richmond Heights. You know how far that is. And I could not find him.
How far is that?
On feet?
It was a couple of miles, 5 miles?
It's a couple of miles driving. So driving maybe 3 to 5 minutes driving.
So you walked over 2-3 miles to go look for this man?
Yes, because
who was abusing you?
Right. Richmond Heights is where his mom lived and where he hung out, and he sold drugs. So that's where some of his spots were as well. So I walked back because I couldn't find him. So that doubled, and I got back and I was crying. I was just miserable. And then I started talking to him. I'm telling myself, well, he's abusing you. Why are you crying? you know, there were times I would try to talk to myself and talk myself out of the situation, but I couldn't. I wasn't strong enough. And I felt like, well, if I leave here, then he can't abuse me anymore, and I can't feel like this anymore, and I won't feel this anymore. And I took a bunch of pills. I went into the medicine cabinet and I found the first bottle of pills I could find. I just started popping them, started drinking them by the handful. And I'm not sure how many I took, but I woke up and my brother who's passed away, he found me in the bathroom. And then I woke up in Jackson South Hospital with a charcoal tube down my nose. They were pumping my stomach. And as they were pumping my stomach, I woke up, I saw my mom came in, and no, I apologize, he came in first.
He as in your abuser?
Yes, he came in first. I think he told me he was related to me. That's how he got back there, I believe. He came in there first and he was upset with me for attempting suicide. And I don't remember words he said, but I remember him being angry about it. And then he left, and then my mom came in, and my mom was crying and wanting to know what happened and why was I trying to attempt suicide. And I don't think she believed them that I tried to attempt suicide. I think she was telling them no, something else must have had to happen. But then they kept me on suicide watch for 72 hours. They admitted me there on suicide watch, and they made sure they watched me and gave me therapy. And then maybe on day 2, Jackson Memorial, which is the big Jackson hospital, came down with 2 therapists in straitjackets to take me up north. For whatever reason, I'm not sure what happened, because from what I can remember, I was calm. There was no instances that happened. But then my mom was there and she kind of intercepted that, and then they didn't take me up to north. And then that 3rd day, I was released, and I went right back to him.
So you were released and you resumed your relationship with him?
As if nothing happened.
He took you back?
Mm-hmm. As if nothing happened. And then the cycle of abuse kept happening. And now, our relationship wasn't always, you know, tumultuous, wasn't horrible, tumultuous, and it wasn't always fighting every day, and it wasn't, you know, beating me up every day. So there were times where we had honeymoon phases, and there were times where he was, so in that instance, he would take me shopping, he would take me buying whatever I wanted to have, and we would be good for a week or 2 until I did something that he felt needed to be disciplined, and then he'll start abusing me again. What
are some of the examples of things that you did?
Looking at someone. If someone looked at me and I looked back, if I gave eye contact to anyone, if I have a slick mouth, as he would say, if I responded to him in a way that was like back talking, if I went somewhere and didn't come back at the exact time I said I was coming back, if he called and I didn't answer, things like that. Things are controlling, whatever he wanted to control.
Were you living with him at the time?
I've lived with him, not at that, well, he had his own place, but because I want my mom to know, I would go home and come back. But at this time, I believe, is when I went to live with him for good. But there's a point in time when he bought my own apartment, or got my own apartment. And like I said, I was in high school. I was going to MacArthur Senior High at the time. And I had my own apartment over on what they call Brown Sub. And that's where a lot of the abuse would happen when I would go to school, because he was very jealous of the guys I would go to school with. But he bought me a car, he would buy me things to kind of keep me in control with him.
So he got you your own apartment, bought you a car, would take you shopping.
Yes.
So during this time you were in school, were you working also?
I worked. I was working, I would go to school, and what they have, work experience. So I would leave school 11 o'clock. I would go to work from, like, say, 12 to 4, 5 o'clock. Then I did night school from 6 to 10. And then I did Saturday school. And I did all this to stay away from him. I wanted to stay away from him, not be around him. So the more I worked, the more I went to school. I did that on purpose so I could not be around him so much.
So so you graduated to that point, you mean? Because there was a point when you wanted to be around him, but then once you realized, I guess after the suicide attempt, why am I going back to him? Why am I exposing myself to this? Then you were working more and going to school. Right. So to separate yourself from him. Do you think he noticed anything? Did he notice that you were trying to stay away from him?
I don't believe so. He never made any mention about it. He just thought I was just doing it because I like school, and I graduated a year early doing all of that. And I just felt
you graduated high school.
I graduated high school a year early. I graduated 11th grade because I was just, and not even realizing I'm doing this with getting all these credits. I was just doing it to stay away from him. Wow. And he never bothered me with that. But when I graduated high school, I wanted to be I wanted to do, oh my goodness, I wanted to be a lawyer. So paralegal. So I started with paralegal. So I started going to Jones College. And that's when he started to keep me from going to school.
Okay. So how old were you by that point? 18?
By that time, 18, yeah, because I hadn't married him yet. I was 18, maybe 19, almost 19, somewhere from there.
Gotcha.
And he will come to my school just to argue with me. Come outside, I need to talk to you. Or go in the school and cause a ruckus.
And at this point in time, you guys were married?
I don't recall. I would have to check dates and stuff,
Gotcha.
but I'm not positive.
So
but
you may have been living separately in your place and he was at his place?
No, we were living together by that time.
Okay.
Before we got married, we were living together by that time. Because by the time I got 18, that's why my mom really knew that I was dating, was in a serious relationship, because mind you, he bought my apartment. So by that time, she stopped seeing me so much.
Gotcha.
But I'm not sure if my mom just thought I was working and going to school. Everyone knew I stayed busy.
But she knew that he was providing that apartment for you?
No, she knew I was living with him, but she didn't know that he actually got me that apartment. He didn't stay there. I think that was a place for him to put me, so he knew where I was.
Right.
So she just figured, I don't know.
So she thought you were paying for your own apartment?
I'm not sure. I have to ask her. I'm not sure what she thought at that time, or if she thought I was staying with friends. I'm not sure what I told her, because I would lie to her a lot. I would, to keep her from knowing what was going on, I would not be honest with my mom. So I could have told her that I was staying with friends, or I could have told her that, you know, but she knew I wasn't paying for my own apartment.
Fast forward to getting engaged or discussing marriage.
I didn't get engaged. I was told I was getting married.
So he told you,
yes,
we're getting married?
Yes. So that conversation just came up, and we went to the courthouse, did our paperwork, and they wait a couple of days before you get married or something like that. We went to the courthouse and got married.
You were 18, 19?
I was 19.
You were 19?
That I was no, for sure I was 19, yes.
So at that point he was like 34, maybe?
Yes. I was 19, and maybe a week later, I was calling the police on him for beating on me again. And the abuse never stopped. It never slowed down. It never stopped. There were times where, and then he would cry. He would cry and make me feel like he's sorry. He would cry and beg me not to leave him. And then when I got older, around 20, 21, I started fighting back.
On the news you said that he would beat you in your head,
yes,
not in your face, but in your head, so people didn't
yes,
see any bruising.
Exactly. There was a time where we were in the car, and I think we were moving from one place to the next. We always moved, and I don't understand why. But there was a time when we were moving, and we had items in the house. You know, the little ceramic phones, the metal bottom, and they had the big buttons inside. So that phone was sitting behind the seat, and I don't know if I said something wrong. I remember him picking the phone up out the back seat. He was driving, he reached back, started beating me in the head with the phone. So I was down on the floor to where your feet's supposed to be. And he was still driving. There were a lot of times he would beat me while he was driving. Driving, for some reason, maybe he can catch me off guard, but he was driving and he just started beating on me. And then he would hide me. He would take me to hotels. He would take me to West Palm Beach. He would take me anywhere where he can isolate me until I decided I'm not leaving him anymore. Because during the beatings, I'm leaving you, I don't want to be with you, stop doing this. And then he would take me to calm me down, to beg and cry and plead me not to leave him. And then the cycle starts over again. We come back home, I go back to work, we go back to school, whatever I'm doing. He goes back to work. We're happy-go-lucky, we're shopping and, you know, living life, and then it starts over again. And it was a constant routine.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I believe he started getting the apartments maybe so he wanted to take us to hotels so much. But then, no, that's not true, because even there's a time he kidnapped me. We had our own apartment. He still tried to take me to a hotel. So I guess that taking me to the hotel was to calm me down and isolate me from leaving him.
How old were you when you started fighting back? In your 20s?
My 20s, 21. I started fighting back. We had a huge fight one time, and right in the middle of the street. And this was one of the few fights that happened in public. We were on Southwest, on someone Homestead, where they had the club on 4th Street, I think it is. And I remember being in the car. He would park his car in the middle of the road because he had this car, Cadillac with rims and, you know, music and everybody to see him. So we were sitting in the middle of the road, and he was standing outside talking to his friends. I was like, I'm ready to go. And he got in the car because he felt like I embarrassed him because I blew the horn and said, I'm ready to go. So he got in the car, he got on this side, and there was another couple with us. I'm not sure, I remember, one sat in the front for some reason, one sat in the back, because I was trying to get out of the car. So the guy of the other relationship sat on the passenger side, and I kicked the windshield because I was trying to get out of the car, because he came in the car hitting me. We got down the road some over around 288th Street, and the guy in the car was like, this is too much. Take us home, y'all, tripping or whatever. And when he went to let them out, I jumped out. And when I went to run, the girl who was with us, she was like trying to help me run. And he caught up to me, and when he caught up to me, he grabbed me and I punched him. When I punched him, it's like something lit up in him that infuriated him even more. So then we were fighting right there in the middle of the street, and then I started hearing police coming and whatever, and they were like, come on, let's go before he gets arrested, before y'all go to jail. Come on, let's go. And I ended up getting back in the car with him. And then we ended up going home and going to sleep and waking up the next morning like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. And he would sleep with his leg on me or with his arm on me and making sure I'm not moving. He was a light sleeper and making sure I didn't move. So if I moved, he was grabbing me. Where you going? What you doing? And then
did that feel like love to you?
No.
That he slept with his leg on you or his arm on you? Was there a time when you felt like that was love? That he was showing you that he loved you and cared about you by sleeping on you? And
what I felt like was love when he would cry and beg me not to leave him. I felt that he loved me. I felt that not knowing was obsession and control. And I felt that when he would keep me from leaving him, that was him being crazy about me and
really being in love
with me, and no one's gonna love me like this, and no one's gonna treat me as good as he treats me. Look how he takes care of me, look how I have this and I have that, and all those material things made me believe that we were in love. And the way he treated me made me feel like he loved me.
How old were you did you ever file for divorce?
Yes, I filed for divorce at, I want to say 23. And when I filed for divorce, he came to court and begged the judge to not grant us a divorce.
How did you leave the home? How did you get out? Because I'm sure you left him physically first before you filed for divorce.
Well, when I left him for good in between that time, because there was a time where when we went to court, he asked the judge not to grant a divorce.
Were you still living with him?
No, I went back to my mom's house, I'm sure. And then, so I didn't divorce him. I went back home with him. I went back in hopes to maybe try to work this out.
After he begged the judge
Exactly. Okay. During that time, the abuse started again, maybe like a month later. So this time, I ended up going to jail. What happened is, I left again, went to my mom's house. He came to my mom's house acting crazy, went banging on the door. I'm the window. Come on, come get your stuff out of my apartment. If you don't want to beat me no more, fine. I won't be with you either. So I said, okay. But I knew that was too calming for him. For him to act that way, something's going on. So I got in my car, I went back over there, and I went to get my things. He's walking around the apartment, just talking big stuff, and I don't need you. You don't want to be with me, then don't be with me.
You went by yourself to get your things?
Yeah, I went by myself.
Was your mom home when you left to go get your things?
No, she worked nights all the time. She worked nights forever. And this was late, maybe like 11, 12 o'clock. And so I went to get my things, and I grabbed a kitchen knife because, like I said, the way he was behaving, it was too calm for me. I was worried. So I said, okay, let me get my things, don't bother me. He said, I'm not gonna bother you. He was walking away. So I went to get my stuff, the little bit of stuff that I had, and then I came back outside. As I'm coming outside, this is a third floor apartment. He went down the stairs, I went down the elevator. As I'm going in the elevator, coming out the elevator, he's coming in to attack me. And I reached up and I stabbed him right above his heart. I ran out to his car to stab his tire so he couldn't follow me. And by that time, the security guard called the police. So the police came, I dropped the knife and asked me, he comes out screaming and hollering that I stabbed him. So police asked me, did you stab him? I said, yes, and I'm gonna kill him if y'all don't get him, tell him leave me alone. I said, I'm tired, I went to just ranting and raving, and I was hysterical by this point. And so the police said, okay, we'll take you both to jail. Took us both to jail. There was a correction officer in there that told me that the knife went in 4 more inches, I would have stabbed his heart. She said, you need to leave him. She said, I don't know what's going on, but you could be in here forever in prison. That is when I decided to finally leave him for good. I went to court, he got out on pre-trial. I had to get bonded out. So he got out, came and bonded me out. I got in the car with him. He asked me, do you want something to eat? And
let me get this straight.
Yes.
He was allowed. They released him.
Yes.
And left you in for him to then come bond you out.
Yes.
Knowing that he had attacked you and that you guys had this domestic violence case.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. They allowed him. And now that you say that,
our system is so broken.
Yes.
Our system is so broken.
And I got right back in the car with him, ended up back home with him. But then I started thinking how I can leave him without him knowing. So I had to wait until we get back in a good spot, a good place, so we're happy again and things are okay. I'm going to work, he's going to work, and everyone's happy.
So you were planning your strategy.
I was planning my strategy. Yes.
Again.
I stayed at her house for a while. I got mirror tints. I got another car. I put mirror tints on my car, like dark limo tints on my car, so you couldn't see in, couldn't see out. I would go only to work the busway, get on the bus, get back on the bus, go home. I wouldn't even put gas in my car. I have everybody else putting gas in my car for me.
Did you ever file a restraining order against him, or try?
I did earlier in the relationship, and then I don't think I went to court again, because there were times I called the police on him. He kidnapped me before, and I called the police. I just didn't go to court. So when I didn't go to court, they would drop the charges. He did a little time one time, maybe like 3 months, I believe, and he would have done more had I went to court. And they dropped the charges. There was time he went to jail, and I thought he was in jail, and I woke up and him slapping me in my face. He got released, and I didn't know he was released. And he broke into my mom's apartment at that time, and he came in, climbed over the balcony, broke in there, and was slapping me on my face. And I'm like, you were just in jail, what happened? You know what I mean? And then he will demand that I take him back. We will have to get back together. If not, he's gonna make my life hell. He will make my life a living hell. He'll be at my job, he'll be at my school, he will be everywhere. And go back to when I was in middle school, junior high, I went to Richmond, and the security guards went to school with him. And the security guards will allow him to come to the school and harass me, aggravate me. When I left that school, I went to high school, to MacArthur North. Same ones who grew up with him know that he's older than me, and they know that he's abusive because he's controlling. If not abusive, they didn't know that. They knew he's controlling, and he will tell them, "Come get Shanda out of class," and they will come get me out of class.
The security guard.
The security guard, because there were times where I would try to hide from him. Even when I was in school, he would beat me up, and I would leave him. There'd be a day or two where I would go to school, but I'm still hiding from him. So he would have them come pull me out of class, and then I would go one day. Someone pulled me out. He said, "I want to take you to lunch." I got in the car with him. He took me where MacArthur North is where Medley used to be, and there's nothing but dirt roads and big trucks. So he took me down there. He said, "I would tie one of those bricks to your ankle and drown you if you don't take me back." And he began to get the rope and the brick out of the car. And then he threatened me with doing so. Went to doing the motion to tie it. I was okay, I'm gonna take you back, I'm gonna take you back, please don't. And then he took me back to school like it was nothing. "I'll see you after school." Those type of tactics he would do all the time. And most of the time I got tired of running. There was a time where I just got tired of running. What will be, will be. If he's gonna kill me, he's gonna kill me. I got tired. And I think God got out of that feeling, and I started to decide I didn't want this anymore. And then even when I left him, even when I formulated my plan and I left him and I hid and did all that, he still found me. He still found me.
And this is when you were living with your friend, the young lady who allowed you to move in?
Well, after I left her, I found my own apartment.
Okay.
So I got my own apartment by this time, and I started to, I just moved in, I need to get furniture and everything. I met my now husband, who was just a friend at the time. I recently just met him, maybe a few months before that. And he took me to get my furniture, helped me get my apartment together and everything. This one particular day, my ex-husband got my work number and he got my cell phone number, or somehow he kept calling me. When he called my job, I asked, "How'd you get my number?" And I don't remember what he said. Then when I got off work, he started calling my phone. So I'm like, "Okay, you have to stop calling me. What do you want?" And for some reason, I was still trying to protect his feelings. I was still trying to protect him. I was still somewhere kind of afraid of him, and I didn't want him upset with me. But I didn't want to talk to him either. I was done. I just did not want to make him upset with me. So instead of me cussing him out and hanging up the phone, I'm trying to pacify his feelings and, "Okay, you know what, let's stop calling me, let's not do this, whatever." So this whole day, this is what's going on. So I get to my apartment, and George was there. We were waiting on the furniture to come. George went outside. The apartment building was, if you go to the right outside my door, there's a canal. You go to the left, there's a parking lot. So my phone rang again. George went outside. I'm like, look, you have to stop calling me. Stop doing this. This is enough. It's over. We've been through too much, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you want to be with me anymore? You have someone else. All this time, and I know he followed us all the way from the parking lot. The parking lot is in Perrine, and I lived in Homestead, which is maybe a 15-minute drive. So I'm like, doesn't matter who I'm with, I don't want to be with you anymore. You have to go. I hear him walking, and all I hear is grass, wet grass, moving. And it didn't dawn on me that it was raining outside and he could be, you know what I mean? It didn't dawn on me. So I'm hearing it. I'm like, let me just hang up the phone. I have to go. All of a sudden I hear my door open.
Oh, gosh.
And his voice got louder. And it's him walking inside my apartment. I started screaming because he's known to carry a gun.
Was George in there too?
No, George was outside because he went to the canal this time. He's talking to the neighbor. When I started screaming, George came back in. And George, I think at the instant, he thought I called him to come there. I'm like, no, I don't want him here. I'm screaming. He said, so he told him, you have to leave. You got to get out. So he went to tell George, well, I need to talk to her about something. He said, she don't want to talk to you. You have to get out. Now, he left. I still went outside to talk to him. And I said, you have to leave here. It's done and it's over with. And the first thing he said, well, I have $5,000. Tell him to leave. I want to be with you. Because he know money and things would get me before. And I said, no, I don't want you anymore. You have to go. So I went back inside and I went to my son's room. He wasn't there. I just started crying. It felt like this wave of emotion just took over me. Like chains were falling off me or something. And I cried, and George came in and he said, why are you crying? You want to be with him? I'm saying, no, I finally feel free. I thank God you were here, because I probably would have took him back if you weren't here, out of fear of him doing something to me. And I said, I thank God that I'm finally strong enough to stand face to face with him and tell him I don't want to be with him no more. And George talked to me that whole night. I told him everything that had happened over all those years.
So that was the first time you told George?
Yes, everything. Right. He had known some things, but not in detail. And I told him, so I'm gonna let you cry tonight, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about it anymore. And I never did. We're married 17 years. Well, 17 years now, coming April.
Wow.
And he's been a great support, because when I started to do Pain to Purpose, the things start coming back up. I used to wake up in my sleep fighting him, because I'm thinking I'm still in this abusive relationship. When you start talking about it, it comes back up. And then when I started dating George, I became the aggressor, because I was determined not to be abused anymore. So I would, as soon as George's voice even went to a high level, I'm popping off. I'm cussing him out. I'm going off, because, you know, no one's gonna ever hurt me again. And he had to tell me that you need to go get help, because I'm not gonna allow you to do to me what he did to you. He said, I'm not gonna hurt you, but you can't be jumping in my face like you wanna do something to me. Because I was not afraid of anyone. I was, you know, ready to attack whomever. And it didn't just affect my relationship with him, it affected my friendships. It affected me with jobs, because I was on the defense all the time. Angry.
You were angry all the time.
All the time, you know, and there's still, to this day, I still have PTSD. There's certain people that remind me of him that I can't even have a conversation with, because they—
Are those the people who enabled his actions?
These people have nothing to do with him at all. Gotcha. But just because they remind me of maybe the way they call my name, or maybe they may be
his traits or his behaviors.
I cannot tolerate it, because it takes me to a weird place. You know what I mean? So
have you been formally diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD?
Not at all.
But I think you're spot on. I think that you probably do have PTSD. Have you gone, when George said go and see someone, you need to get help, did you ever go and see someone?
I never did.
Would you go see someone now?
Yeah, I'm open to it now. Now I will, because at the time I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I think that he was just getting on my nerves, and you know what I mean, that you caused me to act like this. It's not me, it's you. I had to come to a realization that it was me, that I have a problem, because like I said, when I realized it wasn't just with him but with other people, I knew something was wrong.
And when you say other people, meaning that you allowed other people to abuse you, or? Well,
when I say other people, as far as me being defensive, meaning friendships and other people. Even, you know, if my mom said something, or anybody said anything I felt was trying to hurt me, I was either cutting them off, the aggression, or I was popping off, or wanting to argue, or what you want to do type of attitude. You know what I mean? It lasted for a while. Don't know. After a while, I calmed down. because I didn't want to lose my husband, of course. But then I had something I had to work on. It's still some stuff there because there's some things I just don't want to deal with. And there's little things that take me to the top. You know what I mean? Take me to 100 real quick. So I know when I'm to that place where, okay, Noah, this is going to make me go back to this space, let me just back out. Okay. That's how I'm starting to deal with stuff. Not saying it's right, but that's been working for me, to just leave people alone when I can't tolerate their actions because I'm not sure how I'm going to react.
Oof. Whoa.
Oh, Lord God.
That takes courage. And you didn't even tell 5% of that when we met
this
at NBC.
Was 9 years of abuse.
Yeah, you can't tell.
So
not even 5% of that. Not even a percent.
I do Zoom police trainings in maybe South Carolina, and they're telling me there's no human trafficking. I said, do you have a truck? Do you see trucks coming through your state? Do you see trucks, 18-wheelers coming through your city? Guess what? That was me. I was in the back of a truck. One of the people who traveled.
So helping them to identify, you know, where these young girls could be who are being trafficked.
Well, you know what's so hard? People, even now, they take your story and want to feel like you have a reason to lie. Yeah. Or it was your fault because you stayed. They don't know how the psychological abuse affects you. Well, and even being in it, I didn't know that.
The thing is this, and this is what I tell people, how can you blame a child
exactly
for not knowing any better?
Exactly.
You know, a 17-year-old, an 18, I tell people, and someone in their 20s is still a child. When patients are telling me my son or my daughter is 21 and they're not doing this correctly and they're doing that, yes, some responsibility, but at the same time, you're still raising that person.
Right.
They're still a child. You have to teach them.
Right.
And so for someone to be 14 and not know to leave, how would you know to leave?
Exactly.
How could you know? And the same for you. How could you know?